This week may have felt heavy to you as we contemplated what Paul meant when he described all the behavior that would increase in frequency and intensity in the last days. This week may have felt uniquely personal as Paul described how women were specifically targeted and deceived, and then described them as silly, or in other translations, weak and gullible. That was in 2 Timothy 3:6-9. Just a reminder, Paul was not saying that only women can be weak, silly, or vulnerable and gullible. He was describing a situation that was actually happening. Nevertheless, as I was writing this section of Passionate Discipleship, I could not help but begin to explore all the ways that I have been weak or silly or gullible. And I remembered a time when I got scammed. I walked into my office early in the morning to be greeted by a friend who was so excited. She quickly ushered me into our office to show me that Ray-Bans was selling their sunglasses for $25 a piece to benefit charity. Wow, that was super nice of Ray-Ban. My teammates and I, men and women I might add, eagerly got out our wallets to pony up the money buying multiple pairs of sunglasses. After we finished, I went back to my desk and began working. A few minutes after, I received an email from my credit card company saying that something was wrong with the charge I had just made. I wisely ignored the email until my teammates got a similar one. As it turned out, Ray-Ban was not offering their sunglasses for $25. A Chinese counterfeit was. The news had traveled around the whole office that the recruitment team had just bought fake Ray-Bans. The whole embarrassing ordeal ended 2 months later when fake Ray-Bans showed up at my house. Now, although the story is funny and the consequences were low, in this situation, I acted with neither wisdom nor discernment. I ignored all the warning signs that were in front of me. The fact that it was suspicious that Ray-Ban just decided to sell their sunglasses for 85% off. Maybe I should have scrutinized that before just handing over my money. The fact that my bank tried to alert me and I just ignored it. And why? Because I wanted it to be true. I wanted to get something of great value by giving very little in return. I didn't want to look at the truth, and so I behaved according to the lie until reality smacked me in the face. The Lord does not call us to instant perfection, but He does call us to progress. He calls us to grow in spiritual maturity, to strengthen our minds through wisdom and discernment, so that we do not fall prey to lies that sound good but deceive us and rob us. But how do we grow in spiritual maturity? And how does it inform the way we make disciples? If we want to become spiritually mature, we must grow in spiritual discernment. And as we get better at discernment, we need to use it to ask crucial questions about what is coming our way and make decisions according to our conclusions. So let's begin with discernment. In Christianity, discernment means that we are able to perceive, understand, and judge whether something will lead us closer to God or farther away from Him. Discernment is a process that you will often need to employ as you weigh ideas, situations, opportunities, or even persons. How do we do this? The church offers us many writings that allow us to go deeper in our understanding of discernment. Today, we will keep it simple. But if you want to go deeper, I highly recommend reading Father Timothy Gallagher's book, The Discernment of Spirits. To be able to discern well, we must first know the truth. God is real. He loves you. He is merciful towards you. He wants you to live in relationship with Him in this life and the next. This, the gospel message, is the foundation of truth upon which you have placed your entire life. Knowing that truth, we must also know the difference between what St. Ignatius calls the good spirit and the bad spirit. This requires us to pay attention to what is going on in our hearts and minds. The good spirit wants to draw you closer to God and act in a way that brings love, comfort, conviction, encouragement, and peace. The bad spirit wants to draw you away from God and will bring confusion, doubt, fear, and hurry. If you are living far away from God, the good spirit will try to make you feel sad and empty, desolation, to make you turn away from your behavior and towards God. The bad spirit, on the other hand, will offer contentment in sinful choices to keep you from turning to God. When you are drawing close to God, the good spirit will offer consolation to draw you closer to Him, and the bad spirit will try to magnify desolation to draw you away from Him. It is important to know how the different spirits act so that you can identify the movements of your spirit in certain actions and situations. What brings you consolation and desolation? Why? If you draw near to God and after a while begin to feel desolate, discernment directs you to draw even closer to Him. Then the better equipped we can be to draw close to God. With a basic understanding of discernment of spirits, the next practical step in growing in spiritual maturity is to ask discerning questions about the message you receive, answer them, and then act accordingly. We swim in a culture of ideologies that make promises. Modern advertising tells us that if we will only believe this, do that, or buy the latest product, that we will finally be happy. Do not be as quick to buy into the messages as I was to buy into the fake sunglasses. Participate in the culture with a critical mind. Ask questions like, will this idea, product, event, or person lead me closer to God or away from Him? How does this idea fit into the gospel message? Where is the truth? What are the possible lies? What is the logical consequence of this idea? If you follow the logic to its very end, what is the outcome? Does this idea, fad, or product promise something that is even possible? Does this idea, fad, product, or person promote the use or exploitation of other people to reach its goal? As you answer these questions, it will become apparent whether you should accept or reject whatever it is that you are testing. It could also become apparent that you need to seek wise counsel from someone else to help you understand better what you are questioning. Using discernment and asking good questions will help you to strengthen your mind and become much less susceptible to scams and empty promises. It will also guide you down the paths of righteousness and lead you into spiritual maturity. Finally, as you test the spirits and ask good questions, conform your behavior to your discernment. It's one thing to know what's true, but it's another to live in that truth. If we are going to arrive at the truth, we must stake our claim on it and live in it. This means that we will have to make decisions and behave in ways that are uncomfortable and even unpopular. But the more we are willing to do that, the deeper we will grow in spiritual maturity. So then, how does this help us to disciple others? Have you ever seen a confident, righteous woman walk into a room? How did the room change? How did you listen to the words she said? We might not be good at applying wisdom to our own lives, but we all know when someone is living in wisdom. We long to be like that, don't we? Especially because we perceive that the heart of a wise woman is at rest. The longer we walk down the road away from immaturity and towards maturity, the more we will become that woman, and the ability to mentor other women begins to come more naturally. The better we are at exercising discernment in our own lives, the better we can help others to discern. The better we know how to ask good questions, the more we can offer those good questions to others and help them to find the paths of wisdom in their own lives. Yes, Paul knew of spiritually immature women who were tossed about by many different waves of doctrine. But he also knew deeply spiritually mature women who embodied wisdom and a strong mind. These women were leaders who offered their giftings to the church and in doing so, helped the church to grow. We can follow their path and have the same impact today.